Raise your horns high and let your spirit flow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show. Feel the rush, let the loudness grow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show.
Well, so let's introduce ourselves. Well, I think I had met you, I think, online just through some of the websites, and then you have your own website, which we can talk a little bit about because, I do read it. I do follow certain websites. Anymore, it's gotten so ridiculous that you can't really keep track of what's good and what isn't. But there are some that stand out, and yours is one of them because I think you're kind of a old school at heart to a degree, but then also a little bit on the, you cover hard rock, metal, and stuff in there too, that on the heavier side. But so I don't know if you know this guy. You probably do not. So I'll have him introduce himself.
All right.
I am Evil Neely. I am the co-host of the Classic Metal Wrap Up Show, and whereas Ruben brings the serious journalistic approach, I'm the fucking bullshitter cut up character over here. So don't mind me.
So,
Nice
introduce yourself, man, because again, it's good to have you. I know we have guests from time to time, whether it's folks that are either industry folks that are doing their own website, podcast, and or musicians. So in this case, we got somebody that's in on the I guess the journalistic end of things.
Yeah, I am Metal Joe Miller with Defenders of the Zine. I started it in 2020, and we've been going strong ever since. We do album reviews, concert reviews, photography, and interviews. And we like Ruben said, we cover heavy metal, traditional metal, hard rock, and extreme metal. But a lot of the extreme metal, admittedly, is on the more old school side, like
Right.
first wave style black metal, old school death metal, thrash, speed, etc. Um, it's probably just because that's always where my tastes have leaned, and I've always been kind of an old schooler at heart. Traditional metal and traditional hard rock is always where my heart's led, despite being a younger buck, we'll say.
We lost your mic, Rube.
What got you into writing about stuff? Because I think sometimes that's the thing that is good to hear. What initially got you into heavy music and stuff like that, and what inspired you to write about it?
Sure. So I was just raised in a musical household. My mom, played piano, and I grew up, basically hearing pretty much all the big at the rock bands, the Beatles, the Stones, the Who, etc. So those bands were always around, and I was in love with all of them from a very, very young age. We're talking 2 years old. And then when I was 9 years old, one circumstance led to another. In the summer of 2008, I discovered Rush, Black Sabbath, and Judas Priest all back to back to back.
Oh, wow.
Changed my life forever. And as soon as I heard those 3 bands, that's when basically it was down the rabbit hole. That led to Motley Crue, which led to Maiden, which then led to Merciful Fate. And it was like the rest was just history from there. And it was kind of, again, a never-ending rabbit hole. As far as the writing aspect of it goes, that was like the one. Writing in English was always the one subject that I excelled in school growing up, whether it be grammar school, high school, etc. Even it's high school, maybe I was slacking a bit on other subjects. That was the one that was always straight A's. And at one point, my mom, probably by the time I was like around in college, she was like, all you do is listen to metal and write. Why don't you combine the two? And I said to her, I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it the right way. I don't want to have it half-ass it and do a blog spot post here or there. Like I want it to be something concrete and continuous. So, I came up with the concept for Defenders back in late 2019, and I was like, okay, this is how I kind of want to do this, and let's just see how it goes. And the funniest part is, and really, I don't think a lot of people know this, it wasn't called Defenders of the Faith originally. The original idea in my head, I was going to call it Rapid Fire Reviews. There had to be a Judas Priest tie-in,
Right.
always. And the reason I didn't call it that was because at the time, there was some tape label I came across called Rapid Fire Tapes, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy. And I was, Mr. Underground at that point, so I didn't want to step on anyone. And then I was scrambling and I was trying to think of like what's another Judas Priest type name that I could do. And I was like thinking so hard. I was like, oh, could I do the Sentinel Scribe or,
Right.
the Sinner Times? And I'm like thinking, and I got to shout out my buddy Dom, the bassist in Molder.
Mm.
It was as simple as day. He was like, Defenders of the Faith, that's your favorite record anyways. I'm like,
Mm.
man, how did no one think about that?
Right.
I was actually worried that Priest would come after me, that it was just so explicit.
Right.
And it's been quite the opposite. The Priest camp has been cool as a
Mhm.
cucumber with me for the last 5 years now. So,
Nice.
um,
Nice.
I still haven't gotten around to interviewing any of them. They're always busy, but they've
Oh.
treated me very well. They've
Well,
treated me very well.
I'm guessing you've dealt with Chip then, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Chip's
Yeah.
my
So,
guy,
oh
man.
man, I mean, he always offers Richie, but I'm like, oh man, can I get one of the other guys? I'm with you. I mean, I'd like to. I mean, having met them but never actually done an interview, I think that'd be awesome to get Halford or even Scott Travis, because I'm a huge Racer X fan from
Yeah.
that band.
Yeah, dude, I would talk to any of them, man. I would
Mhm.
talk to Richie. I talk to Andy even. I
Yeah.
love those guys that much.
Right.
It's always been a matter of, and I'm not even joking. There have been at least 3 occasions in the last 5 years where we had something, not even with Chip, but even with Rob's own
Yeah.
people, where
Right.
I had something lined up with Rob and it fell through. One thing happened or another, it is what it is. Nothing like crazy, but it was just life happened or, things didn't happen. So, I mean, I say Halford's at like the Mount
Mhm.
Rushmore. He's the top of my
Oh, yeah.
bucket list interviews, but I'll talk to any of those guys, man. And they're still cool as cool could be. I got to shout out Priest last year when Invincible Shield came out.
Oh,
They
yeah.
sent me the limited deluxe edition with the 7 inch, and they were
Oh,
like, "Thanks
nice.
for the 10 out of 10 review." And I
Mhm.
was like, "Well, you're Priest and you're still killing it. So what
Right.
else am I gonna do?"
So yeah, and they have actually. I mean, I think the last two albums have been pretty fucking stellar. I think.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. I'll go as far to say, um, Firepower was my favorite
Mm.
metal album of the 2010s,
Okay.
and I think Invincible Shield's even better than that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
when you step away and listen to it later, you're like, "Fuck, it's better than I thought." When I initially heard it, and even when you first heard it, you were like, "That's a pretty solid record."
yeah. Oh, I was blown away, man. And I say that as someone who, Redeemer of Souls, I'm
Hmm.
give or take. There's
Sure.
songs on there I like. The production I thought was pretty underwhelming. I thought it was an okay Priest album at best. Would be a good album for any other metal band.
Hmm.
But when Firepower came out and just the hype around that tour and everything, like it was a good vibe in the Priest camp. And I think that album was the beginning of
Right.
what's going on now. What,
Hmm.
like almost 8 years of just nonstop touring and just great, wild times in the Priest camp. I'm really
Yeah.
happy for those guys, man.
Nice. You got anything evil? He's over here chomping at the bit to insert his take
Please,
on
I'll shut
Priest.
up.
He's no,
Okay.
I think he's
Well,
gonna.
you want me
he's
to
gonna
rain on
share-
the party because there's an album called Nostradamus, and I can't.
No, I
possibly
thought you were
listen
gonna
to.
say
It's
Turbo.
horrible.
You thought he was gonna say Turbo. Although
No, I'll
I
take
like
Turbo. I'll take Ram It Down. I'll take all those. It's just Nostradamus is the one I just cannot for any reason. It's like the Metallica album with that Lou guy. It's the
Oh,
album
Lou-
you just
Lou-
yeah you just
Lou
you just
Reed,
skip this album. Just pretend that this album doesn't exist because we don't know
Right.
what they were doing on this album. I when they came back with Angel Retribution, I went and saw them on the tour and was like,
Mhm.
fuck yeah, man. They came back with what I thought was a very solid album at a period of time in music when that was not going to be the most popular genre, so to speak. But yeah, no, I would want to chat with Ian Hill. I think Ian Hill, because the bass player sometimes has the kind of the third party observer perspective in the band, and he's not the front man, he's not the lead guitar player with the ego. I would like to hear Ian Hill's take on certain things, but he only does interviews here and there, but he's also, in my opinion, he's been there since day one, right? So he's like the guy
Right.
who like really knows every single drummer that's been out of here and all the ins and outs.
Mhm. Yeah, no shit.
But yeah, so give us your top three. You were saying Defenders of the Faith is your top. What's your top three Priest albums?
So my top three, Defenders number one, Painkillers number two, The Stained Class is number three. And I think that's going to be till the day I die.
Yeah.
They're all solid. Yeah, I think Painkiller is my number one. It's just I don't have to skip a track in my opinion.
No.
It just put it on and just let it
Yeah, and I think I've mentioned the Evil. I mean, I saw Priest twice on that tour. I mean, the first go round was with Megadeth and Testament supporting,
Mm.
and then it was Operation Rock and Roll with Cooper and Metal Church and Dangerous Toys and Motorhead. So I mean, I think for some reason I'm a little biased towards that particular record, but you can't really go wrong with fucking Priest. I think again I'm with Evil as far as Nostradamus is probably a little much to digest, but I think I could even scale that one to 10 solid tunes out of that 2 disc set.
Yeah, the thing with Nostradamus, um, I revisited it, I want to
Mm-hmm.
say sometime in the last couple years.
Right.
And there are a few decent songs on
Mm-hmm.
there. My problem with now I to correct evil or not to correct evil Neely, but to counter evil Neely rather, I would not put it down there with that crap Metallica Lou Reed disaster. It's not that bad. That being said, yeah, there are songs on there
It's
that I
not as
listen
bad.
to it and I say to myself, this would be solid if it were like a random progressive metal band. Again, for Priest, it's just kind of like it was so out there. And there's a couple off the top of my head that I'm thinking of. There's like maybe two or three like
Right.
really decent songs in there. But when you're getting to like the 80, 90, 100 minute mark or whatever that thing
Mm-hmm.
is, you're like, oh man, like I don't want that from Priest.
Yeah.
Like this is not the band I want. Symphony X, maybe on a good
Right.
day, I'm
Right.
feeling up to it.
Sure.
But Priest, it was the word that I would use for that album, and I think maybe even they'd agree in hindsight to an extent, was misguided. It was an
Wrong. Right.
attempt. It was an attempt at something that it was an experiment, and it didn't go as they anticipated, and that was pretty much that. And that's why, come Redeemer, it was like, okay, let's scale it back and do what we do best.
I don't know if you recall several years ago, one of the things that Halford had been talking about was doing like a black metal album.
Yeah,
I think he's running out of time. It's too bad. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen now. But that would have been fucking something.
yeah, the two Halford Ghost albums, I'll call them, that we hear about forever is the black metal
Mm-hmm.
album, which I haven't heard about that in almost a decade, but I
Right.
do remember hearing about
Right.
that. And I also actually remember hearing at some point that it almost sounded like it was going to be Halford and Friends, that Nurgle from
Oh
Behemoth
yeah.
was supposed to
Yeah.
be on there, and one of the guys from, I don't know if it was Gojira or who it was,
Mm-hmm.
but it was basically going to be him teaming up with all these big extreme metal guys to do this record. And then the other one we just hear continuously about, and he still teases to this day, is the Blues album.
Oh yeah.
Uh, that I think he could probably still do.
He could do that, but is it going to be
Yeah.
as good as Danzig's blues album?
Um,
I'm just kidding. That's a piece of shit. I mean,
yeah.
and I love Glenn Danzig. I mean, I think he's either doing really good stuff or really mediocre stuff, I think.
He's an interesting figure because you look at between Misfits, Sam Hain, and then
Mm-hmm.
like those first, I'm gonna say
Oh,
four
Boar.
solo
Yeah,
albums.
the
Or not
Danzig.
solo, but the band,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Danzig.
Danzig
Yeah,
1 through 4, and you're like, man, this guy had a generational
yeah.
run. And then everything after that, it's like, what the fuck happened, man?
Mm-hmm.
What
Right.
happened?
Yeah, yeah,
Old Chuck Biscuits and John Christ left the building and shit hit
Well,
the fan.
yeah,
yeah, pretty much. I mean, the muscle left. No, you're
Mm-hmm.
absolutely right there. That's what happened, I guess. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, shoot, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I do think the Halford and Friends could still happen. I mean, he could get a bunch of his buddies together, and like you said, the blues record. If he ever decided to do that, I'd love to hear that as well.
Or get together with Dickinson and Tate and give us the
Oh, yeah.
three singer guys.
Yeah, with it,
do a
3
song
Tremors
just a song
or whatever.
two. Yeah, just do a song
Yeah.
or two in the studio or something, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like cut like a charity single, man. Just something to just throw a bone out, print like 5,000 CDs. It'll sell out overnight. I mean, it doesn't have to be a whole album. I mean, and they could
Right.
all cut their vocals on their laptops and just
That's my
send it,
point.
man. It's
Mhm.
not even.
Technology makes it they can do that easy nowadays, so they should hook that up and just make it happen.
Absolutely.
Especially because all of them still have their voices to some degree to where they could go in the studio and make some shit sound fucking tits. So
Yeah.
I always wanted to hear that. And then even when they were going to give me I don't know if you want to call them the B or C list, 3 Tremor guys, I would have listened to that too. I'm the kind of guy that was just, give me some Ripper Owens and his buddies. Let me see what they're up to. So
Right on. And if I'm to add really quick, if we're talking about fantasy Halford projects, and I know that the clock's probably ticking on this one as well, But man, I would kill for a fight reunion.
Oh
Like
yeah.
just one more, doesn't have to be an album, but do like maybe an EP and
Hmm.
like half a dozen dates of tiny rooms. Like do
Hmm.
Chicago, New York, LA, somewhere in Texas, and maybe throw in a couple others. I want to see him come to Reggie's here, and it would just be a war zone, man. I would love to see those songs played live one more time. And Halford, vocally, for how he's been these last couple Priest tours, I think he could handle an hour of fight material. Like go
Hmm.
out and have it be fight, and then like two up and coming like death thrash bands and just throw them on it as an opener and just do something old school and fast. I think that would be really awesome to see.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I
Some of my
mean,
favorite shows were those Halford solo shows,
oh
man.
sure.
Because I got to see him in such smaller venues and so much more up close and personal, and that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, you can't go wrong with that first fight record either. Oh my God. I mean, it's like another one of those albums where every single tune is a keeper on there.
Yeah, that's one that if I'm in the gym, it's between that and Dehumanizer from Sabbath. Those are my two weightlifting
Mm.
albums.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, it's too bad he got things got a little wonky with the next record. And then I know I really wanted to like the two album, but yeah, I mean that one really. Although having spoken with John Five several times, kind of like with Roth, he said, "Oh, he's got another rock record in the can." He has said that there is a guitar oriented version of that two record.
Interesting.
That would be good to hear,
I'd be curious to check it out.
right? So
I would say if you like that kind of industrial music, it's not that bad of a record. It's that bad of a record if you
yeah,
think that you're
that's
going to
probably
hear Rob
true.
Halford being Rob Halford. But if you go into it for just industrial
Sure.
music, you probably wouldn't be that, Nine Inch Nails fan or
Yeah.
something like that would find something in there they can enjoy. I
Right.
didn't, again, I'm not saying I'd go pick it out of all the albums he's released and go, well, give me two. But,
Hmm.
I've heard it before and didn't think, well, it's not that horrible. I've heard far worse,
Right.
but.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I
Yeah.
got someone would have to jog my memory out there. The CMS wrap up shows. They're gonna view this later. Maybe you guys can remember this. At this period of my life, I was smoking a lot of hash. I won't
Oh
lie to you guys. And so there was a Chuck Billy benefit concert when he had the cancer in the heart at the
okay.
Avalon Ballroom in San Francisco, and I could have swore it was Testament and Halford's band, but maybe
Hmm.
it was not, or maybe it was a combination. But I know Halford was there, and I know Chuck was there, and it was a benefit show that I attended there, and that was a awesome place to see a show like that because the Avalon Ballroom is a pretty small venue, so I was right there. But it was a little hazy. I was intermingling with people from
Right.
downtown San Francisco who were partying with me, and I was, a young man having a good time. So yeah,
That
That's
might have
awesome.
been. I mean, I can almost guarantee you probably Exodus was there, and so was Death Angel, but I don't remember hearing
Death
anything
Angel
about.
opened.
Yeah,
Death
there you
Angel
go.
opened, and I know because I remember clear. I know Halford was the headliner because I remember him clearly saying, we were honored to be here. We're glad Chuck's healthy and he's got the diagnosis that he can get back on stage and do what he's doing. And they were doing this big show to help Chuck out. It was a pretty cool scene. So I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure it
didn't
was Death Angel, Testament, and Halford. That
Hmm.
probably was the lineup. Yeah.
Right.
didn't I was gonna say didn't Forbidden reunite for that too?
That might have been it. That
It
might have been
might.
it.
It was a multi-band bill.
Yeah.
I was there a long time that night. I was drinking and smoking a lot of stuff. So after a while, I can't remember who performed with who. I just know all these guys were on
Yeah.
stage. Well, and that was
Nice.
one of those venues that I would go see Ministry, and I'd go. I
Mhm.
saw Jello Biafra, and because they
Mhm.
wouldn't quite be able to hit a Warfield or a Fillmore, they're a little too large. Avalon's a step down, and it was a kind of a big open ball or open floor, general admission. You just pay your ticket fee and muscle your way in there, old school style. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
yeah.
So, Joe, what's your favorite kind of venue to check out bands? I mean, you rather go to the small little clubs, amphitheater, arena, or stadium? I mean, what's your preferred location or venue to check out bands?
So my favorite venue forever, and I call it the greatest place on earth. Sorry, Disney, is Reggie's Rock Club on 21st and State here in Chicago.
Okay.
I started going to shows there when I was probably 12 or 13 years old, and I've been going ever since. I pretty much, when I say I grew up at the place, I mean literally, and you name them, I've probably seen them there. There's two rooms, well, technically three now, but the
Mhm.
main room, the club room, is the larger room, and even that, it holds 400. No matter where you stand in there, you're gonna have a good view. The sound's incredible. It's like kind of the same group of, it's just the Chicago metalhead mecca. So we all know each other. It's like been the
Hmm.
same group that's been going every week like forever. These are people that I literally like, they were like my age when I started going there, and now these people are like pushing 40, and I'm like their age when they were back then. So it's like it's a really wild scene, but there's the club and then there's the joint, which is the smaller side, which is a restaurant slash bar that holds maybe 150. But I've seen between both venues, I've seen some incredible shows there. I mean, some of the most legendary that come to mind. I mean, in the club, the number one for me forever, and to this day, everyone who saw the show still can't believe that it happened because Shane, the promoter there, had to fight to get it. Was Saxon played there on Easter, I want to say 8 or 9 years ago now, and I know for certain that Saxon's people kind of had apprehensions. They're like, this room's so tiny,
Mm.
we want to do House of Blues, blah blah blah. Reggie's basically threw,
Hmm.
opened the coffers and threw whatever at him. We were like, please, we really want this to happen. We're reliable, blah, blah, blah. Like
Hmm.
really, they had to fight for it.
Wow.
And ultimately, Saxon agreed and they played. And that to this day, that's the number one show I ever saw in that room. But I've seen Saxon in there, Sirith Ungol, Uli John Roth, Jolyn Turner, just saw Dark Angel there,
Oh,
Possessed.
Dark Angel, yeah.
I mean, the list goes on and on. And then in the joint stage, which is the tiny stage,
Hmm.
again, that holds 150. I've seen Pagan Altar play there. Travers has played in there multiple times. Corky Lang from Mountain. I mean, we're talking, this place has had legendary names. Um, and it's always a great time. And again, it's like, the thing with Chicago is like Chicago's a metal town and has been since the 80s if you're in the metal
Hmm.
scene, but like to the larger scope things, like I don't think Chicago's a metal town per se. Chicago's kind of more of a hipster town, kind of more of a douchey like, hey man, check out my band,
Right.
like you know what
It's
I
like
mean?
Portland.
Yes,
Billy
unfortunately.
Corgans.
Bingo, like Billy Corgan's exactly. It's
Mm.
very much like hipster beanie, like and that crowd will be like, oh, we like metal, we like the first six Black
Hmm.
Sabbath records. And they're like, oh
Right.
yeah, but there's you know
Yeah.
what I'm getting
Right.
at. But the Chicago metal scene itself, the underground is so strong and tried and true. I mean, man, there's people who come to shows still every week and in their denim jackets like yours, guys who are, older than my dad, guys who are in, their mid late 60s who are, seeing Metallica and Raven at the Metro and, seeing Priest at the old amphitheater 1979, like I mean the guys who are in it for life and the vibe is just like nothing else. So, I've seen great shows in many venues over the years, but to answer your question, give me a packed, sweaty, small club and give me Reggie's specifically, and that to me is the best venue on earth that you're going to see a show at.
Nice. Nice. But the Arcada's in Chicago, is it not? What's your take on that place? Because
So
you always hear that mentioned.
the Arcada's in St. Charles,
Okay.
which is an hour west of
A
Chicago.
hour west. Okay, got it.
And the Arcada is my number two venue in the whole wide
Oh, it
world.
is. Okay.
And the Arcada, and I've said it before, and I'll say it to the death, because the Arcada, they have their crowd too, who's
Hmm.
there like every week, and it's a very different crowd, and it's a very older crowd,
Okay.
like by and large too, because Arcada is more classic rock, and when they are booking metal or hard rock, it's 70s and 80s. You
Hmm.
know, I think that I'm trying to think of the most extreme quote unquote band I've seen at the Arcada, and if you can
Was
believe
it
it.
Rat?
No, actually, you'd be shocked. I think
Okay.
the most extreme act I've seen play at the Arcada was Sworn Enemy of
Okay.
all bands,
Oh, wow.
and even that was happened to be opening up for Anthrax, which
Okay.
was weird to see Anthrax at a seated venue. Um, the show was good, but I mean, of like the half a dozen plus times I've seen Anthrax, I want to say that was one of the I don't want to say it was the worst, but it was just like, man, I want to be moving for this. When I was
Hmm.
a teenager at the time, I was like, this kind of sucks. But the show was great. And Arcada, I've had some incredible nights too, man. I got to shout out Ron Onesti over there because he books bands that an edge that he'll have is he'll book bands that unfortunately the city promoters, a lot of them won't even bother just because it's like, where do we put them or how would they even draw in the city proper, right? So, being that, an older crowd out in the burbs, Ron will book an act like Aldo Nova.
Mhm.
He was the first one to bring Aldo Nova back in the area. And even like when I started going there, again, same time, probably 15 years
Mhm.
ago, he brought Accept to the area for
Oh
the
wow.
first time in forever. He was constantly booking UFO. I'm trying to think who else off the top of my head, but he was bringing Wishbone Ash and like Blue
Okay.
Oyster Cult, and he was just booking all these bands, and it was like, wow, nobody in the city is booking this, which really gave him an edge. And granted, it's a completely different scene. Reggie's is a metal venue, and Arcata is like an old school, like something you'd imagine out of a scene from that '70s show. It's like a
Yeah.
'70s
Right.
type theater,
Right.
where people are going. It's like, oh, hey, man, it's that whole crowd, but all grown up now, and beyond
Mhm.
grown up.
Right.
And I've said it a million times, man. To me, that's the only seated venue that matters. Like every
Yeah.
other theater you go to in the Chicagoland area, they're all snobbish to you, and they give you dirty looks, they're just very high and mighty. Whereas the Arcada, man, it's laid back. The
Mhm.
crowd's cool. Ron's fun. Everyone knows each other for the most part. And you feel welcomed, which you
Okay.
don't at any other seated venue in the area. So definitely not at Chicago Theater, I'll tell you that. I have some friends who work there though, and I love them, but I'm
Mhm.
by and large, like when King Diamond played Chicago Theater last year, and my dad and I went,
Oh man.
lots of dirty looks at that
Yeah.
crowd, man. I'll tell you
Right.
that.
Oh Jesus! You just reminded me what a horrible memory of the King Diamond thing from last year. So I was sitting at a fast food place in town, getting ready to kind of prep for the evening, because I was going to go see King Diamond that evening, and I had gotten the email from Liz, from the publicist, and said,
Of
"Yeah, you're
course.
approved." And then half hour later, "Yeah, the show's been canceled." And I was like, God.
Oh, you were one of the ones that got
Yeah.
canceled.
So Seattle and Portland got canceled. Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, that does
What were the
suck, man. I'm
reasons for that?
sorry. Um,
The
Was it
reasons, I think it was lack
voice
of
or
sales.
tickets?
yeah.
I think they booked it at the Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall, which is kind of what Joe is just describing, a real snooty, snobby kind of place. And they probably, I mean, people don't feel welcome there, so they weren't buying the tickets regardless of who's performing. Um, yeah, that's a downer.
Well, yeah, that tour had, from what I hearing after the fact, had some issues with
Hmm.
tickets
Yeah,
and the price points and the
yeah.
venues. I think what turned a lot of, definitely, I mean, if you're older folk, let's say 55 and up. I mean, my dad, for context, my dad's 62.
Hmm.
So he's like, doesn't mind, like, oh, if I'm going to be in a seat or whatever, like,
Sure.
he doesn't care. He's like, yeah, that's actually probably more his speed these days, right? So
Hmm.
he's cool with that. But I think anyone like 40 on down, like, oh, a seat for, and even King Diamond, like, okay, but like overkill, I'm going to be in a seat
Right.
for overkill. And the price point, I can't speak for other markets, but here in Chicago, man, that was a pricey ass ticket. I'll tell you that. When tickets came on sale, and I hastily assumed it was just going to sell out because King always sells
Hmm.
out.
Right.
Or I should say, when that ticket went on sale, I looked and I saw the price and I kind of gasped a little. I was like,
Ooh.
oof. But I said, you know what? Fuck it. I slapped down the card. I got fifth row to the right side for
Yeah.
me and my old man because we've been going to see King Diamond since he came back when I was a
Hmm.
kid, you know? Um, and I'll just say they were like 150 each, which for King,
Hmm. Yeah.
it's a little
Yeah.
little steep, man.
Right.
It's a little steep, but we did it. Come the day of the show, it sold so poorly they dumped all the tickets on Groupon for $20,
Oh, geez.
and they still couldn't fill the place. I want to say halfway. The balcony was closed. They closed the
Oh, wow.
balcony. They moved everyone down. Chicago Theater holds like 3,500. I would be amazed if there were more than 1,200 people, 1,500 at most.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks. I mean, there was something about that, yeah, like you said, about that tour. And then I think that he always does these huge productions, so he can never scale it down and make it look like the vision, right? Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, because it sounds like he needs to be in the smaller theaters, but he probably can't get the size of the show down in there.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, was that? I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm just kind of a bystander on Merciful Fate and King Diamond. I mean, I
Right.
know who they are. I've listened to
Right.
some songs. I don't mind Merciful Fate particularly. It reminds me of like some old school stuff that I like.
Mhm.
But King Diamond, eventually, when I started getting into his albums, the wailing, the vocals are almost too high screen all the time for me. But what I says was if I'm not mistaken, he was coming off of some Merciful Fate reunion type dates, right?
Yeah,
And so it felt like
think
he was
he did
trying to
do
use
that.
that momentum and kind of come back and do an American tour, which I don't think he had done in a while. But yeah, you would think if that's the case, you might want to bite off smaller venues to start there, King, and then work your way up to something larger if the places are selling out or whatever. But yeah, I know I could see just the video I saw on YouTube of the stage show. You could see why he's having to find places with large enough stages to accompany all this stuff that's going on. So. But well, my favorite venue is the Warfield in San Francisco because it's the perfect mix of both. You have general admission down on the lower level, you have the seated balcony upstairs, and some shows they're particular and they make you try to go to one or the other. But a lot of them, they just if it's a general admission show, you can go upstairs and smoke and sit up there when you're tired if it's a band you don't want to sit through, and then come back down to the floor. And like when I saw Slayer and Mastodon, all these bands together on a bill, I was able to go back and forth. And the general admission on the floor allows you to do the old school style thing, and that's where the pit for Slayer started happening. I almost died, ladies and gentlemen. The only show I thought I might not make it out of, Tom Araya is going to have me killed right here in the center of this pit.
Yeah.
So it was pretty violent. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like venues that make me choose one or the other. I have to just sit the whole time like this in a chair, or I have to stand the whole time. And if there's bands I don't want to stand for, I find myself leaving the room to go get drinks or go hit the shitter or something. I don't know, something other than stand here watching these guys. So yeah, they need to have both. And that's why I think the Warfield always the place for me, because it was like, it's not too big, not too small, a couple thousand people. So it's not huge. Its sound is always good in the room. It never sounds bad in there. So yeah, and you know, when you see a band like Slayer or a Motley Crue or something, Guns N' Roses played there. I mean, it's like a smaller venue for those bands, and it makes you feel like you're up close and personal, and you're not in the arena with 20,000 people fucking far away. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I must add real quick that growing up, that war at the Warfield,
Oh yeah,
Slayer, that was
Slayer.
essential, man. That was essential as a youngster.
Well, that's all my prime Slayer era there. The God Hates Us All era was, I saw them on that tour. They released a box set somewhere around that time. I
Yeah.
was telling Ruben.
Oh,
I
that's
had a
awesome.
very interesting encounter, I guess you would say, with Kerry King's wife, which led to some fisticuffs. Not with me, but another
with
guy.
you.
She didn't want to fight me. I'm way too big. She's a tiny little person. She wanted to fight the little guy next to me. Which led to the late great Jeff Hanneman, may he rest in peace, being overly accommodating to us. You want signed boxes, you want signed guitars, anything, so we don't end up with lawyers and cops and things happening. Okay, Jeff's cool. So it always bummed me out. I'm not saying he was the coolest guy, but to me that day he was definitely the coolest. Tom was somewhat concerned too. I could see, he could tell with the road manager, whoever was organizing the signing, that there was chaos afoot, and Tom was like, "What the hell's happening?" But other players in the band were like, "What the fuck? Fuck these guys! Fuck these guys!" So you know. It can happen. We were not doing anything wrong. It was just a misunderstanding in a line of people in San Francisco, and she might have been maybe intoxicated or something. I don't know. There's something going on there, and she was being aggressive with some people in the line. So, but anyways, I was going to say that was a prime era, man. That's a very underrated era in Slayer's career, in my opinion. I think that Boss Stapp was kicking ass on the drums when he came back there, and people say, well, it's not Lombardo. And I said, well, I don't know. If you go watch the shows that I saw during those times, I don't know that you were missing Lombardo on the kit. You were still getting your ass kicked by the other three guys up front. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Eek. See, you just reminded me of my least favorite Slayer albums, which was Diablos and the one you just said, the one with the fucking skeleton on the cover. What the fuck? What's it called?
Hates Us All? No.
God,
What?
that's Diabolos
No.
Musica.
That's the one with, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget what the other one is. I know what it is. I just don't own it because I don't like it. That and Diablos. And then I do enjoy the punk rock record though.
Oh, that's a fun album.
I like
The
it. I mean, for what it
uh
is.
Undisputed Attitude.
Undisputed. Yeah.
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 That was fucking great.
Yeah, there's some
Oh,
good covers on there. The
yeah.
Dr. No covers. That it's funny. I
Mm-hmm.
was just talking with a friend the other night, and there's that cover hadn't thought about for years. They did that cover of Richard Hung himself
Yeah.
from
Yep. They
DI.
do.
That's a great cover, man.
Yeah, that's one you have to turn down when you're driving by certain neighborhoods because then they'll turn
Yeah.
you in or something. Fuck, you know. Or if you're listening to it, I was like, let me just turn that down. I don't want anybody
Yeah,
getting the
let's-
wrong idea.
That's Tim. Well, that and the other one you have to turn down in certain neighborhoods is the Minor Threat cover.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that because do you remember the
yeah,
line at the very end that Tom
Yeah.
added that
yeah.
pissed off Mackay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we won't repeat it here, folks.
we won't.
Yeah, I have a 12-year-old son, and he's really into Metallica right now, and so he's going through the whole. He's trying to play drums, and he's trying to figure out all this Lars stuff that he's doing, and he says in the ride the other day, "Put on some Metallica, Dad." So we listened to a Metallica song or two, and it got to "So What," and I had to go, "We're gonna hit skip on that one. That one's got some lyrical content there. We don't want James screaming at my 12-year-old son, if you know what I'm saying." So
You know the funniest
great song
thing?
though. I love the song, but lyrically, it's you don't want to be turning that up in the wrong neighborhood.
My dad did the exact same thing when I was a little, I was like 9 or 10 years old as well, with like to a T. And then I ended up hearing it like a couple years later. That's one of my favorite punk songs of all time, the original
mhm.
version from
Yeah.
Anti-Nowhere League.
Yeah,
Great
nice.
song.
I was see you made me look on my Discogs app
Mhm.
to see if I own that fucking Divine Intervention. I do. The one I don't own is Diablos in Musica.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah,
shitty
yeah.
record. Fuck.
Yeah, that was a down.
I'm not a fan of that one. I hope you agree.
Oh,
I
no.
do. Yeah.
Ruben, you're not into Divine Intervention?
Oh yeah, I am. I'm just saying that
Okay.
that wasn't a great record, but it was still digestible.
than-
Where the follow up
Yeah.
was just ugh. That was more of a modern spin to what Slayer does.
Yeah, it's funny. Divine Intervention is an album that I liked as a little kid, and then I
Mhm.
just kind of, I don't want to say ditched it from, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like I just didn't listen to it for years and years. I revisited it, I want to say in the last couple years. And for what it is, which is to me like Rain and Blood 2.0 in terms
Mhm.
of what they were trying to do. I mean, songwriting, musicianship, it's not even close, but in terms of trying to do that formula, because South of Heaven and Seasons, the songs are longer, they're doomier, they're slower, and I think that kind of started to piss a lot of people off, or not a lot, but like maybe that tried and true hardcore thrasher crowd was like, oh man, where the hell's Altar of Sacrifice? Where's
Mhm.
Rain and Blood? And you listen to Divine Intervention, the whole album's like what, 28, 29 minutes. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
like Rain and Blood. So I can listen to it now. There's a couple songs on there I actually love. It's not, obviously it doesn't hold a candle to the 80s stuff, but I think it's a respectable attempt at trying to
Mm.
rehash that formula. Yeah.
Eh, I'm curious. What's your take on the Kerry King solo album and band? I saw them. I liked the performance.
Mhm.
The record I got a advance of, and then I bought the CD, and it's still wrapped up. It's still in the cellophane, so I must not be that thrilled with it.
I'll say about that record what I've said about every Slayer record from probably Christ Illusion onwards, because God
Mhm.
Hates Us All is still kind
Yeah.
of its own thing, and it's not really my thing. It's better than Diabolus, but it's still kind of its own record. But from Christ Illusion on, it's just kind of copy, paste, copy, paste,
Mhm.
copy, paste. You get to each song and you're like, wow, this is like 40 minutes of the same riff, kind
Mhm.
of. And it's not like, you could go back to those 80s records and every song is its own thing. And even Rain and Blood of the 80s albums, if you think about it, Rain and Blood is probably the most samey sounding, and yet
Mhm.
even then every song stands out. Whereas Slayer, for me, from Christ Illusion onwards, it's just kind of one giant, I don't want to
Mhm.
say rehash, but kind of
Formula.
yeah, it's
It is.
it's
Kinda.
an if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. Which
Yeah.
is fine. You know, it's funny. Like I love like when Motorhead would do that, and I
Yeah.
love when AC/DC does it. But with Slayer, man, when I hear it or when some Slayer adjacent project does it, I'm like, man, I'm just gonna stick with Show No Mercy, Haunting, Hell Awaits, Rain and Blood, South of Heaven,
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
mean, you
good.
can't go wrong with those records. I mean, I'd go as far as to say, if you cut it off at the live album,
Sure.
yeah. I mean, I think you'd probably be good.
Yeah. Oh, I did. This will piss some people off. I'll go a step further. For me,
Mm,
with all due respect to what I just said about Divine Intervention having some bangers, if
hmm.
South of Heaven was the cutoff for me,
Yeah, yeah.
Seasons, man, honest to God, that's a record that just does not cut it for me like it did when I was young, man. There was literally maybe one or two songs on there that I really, really dig, and then the rest just it's a little too slow for me, man. You know,
Hmm.
it's weird. It's weird. It just is a little too doomy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true. They did slow things down some on those. So,
Yeah.
And I think that once you probably can definitely, in my opinion, notice the change in the music when Jeff Hanneman no longer is co-writing
hmm,
or writing his songs, and now we're getting Carrie, 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 Carrie,
hmm,
a little bit of Tom, Carrie, 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 a little bit of Tom.
hmm.
So, yeah, that imbalance to me made it not as good as Slayer once was, but that's
Well,
what's going to
would you?
happen when one of the founders and main composers of riffage is no longer present, right?
But
So
would you say that in front of Carrie's wife?
yeah, I'd say it in front of Carrie, right there at the table while you're signing my
At the
boxes.
table, and she'll be.
Raise your horns high.